Lemoore City Council chambers located at 429 C Street. This is the regular meeting for September 3rd. Please silence all electronic devices as a courtesy to those in attendance. Thank you. If you could please stand for the invocation given by Mr. Kootenai and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. Living God, we come before you tonight, Father, just raising your name on high, Father, for so much change is going on in our community. We give you praise for that, Father. We give you praise for change, Father. We would ask tonight that you would be with this leadership team here in Lemoore and the new city manager, Father, and just continue to watch over them, to give them the wisdom, give them the discernment, give them the knowledge it takes to go forward for this community. And we thank you for that as a living God and a loving God and an all-knowing God. In your son's name we all pray. Amen. Salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir.
Councilmember Garza,
Here, welcome back.
Councilmember Lyon,
President, welcome back.
Councilmember Orth.
Here, welcome back.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Gornick
Welcome back. Here.
and Mayor Matthews.
Here.
Thank you.
We'll go ahead and move on to agenda approval additions and or deletions. We will be adding a ceremonial presentation. So we'll move to ceremonial presentations. Item 1-1, recognition of outgoing interim city manager, Mr. Northcraft. You want to, I don't know if anybody wants to say anything from the dais for Mr. Northcraft. I know some people said it last meeting, so just open it up if anybody else wants to say anything.
Yeah, I'll say something. He wrote us a letter, just kind of summarized his accomplishments for us in the brief 6 months he was here. And he was a little humble. He said, I don't want this to sound like bragging, but he said, I took a lot of pride in the city and the residents and the staff, and really enjoyed working with it. And I responded back to him, it's not bragging if you could back it up. And he did it. He did a good job for us. So thank you, Kevin.
Anyone else?
Okay, I'll go. Mr. Northcraft, thank you very much for, everything that you did. I'm here to tell you, it felt like a lot more in 6 months because it felt like we did a lot of things, got a lot of stuff done. And I really appreciate your demeanor, your attitude, tone, and everything. Thank you, sir.
Just thank you for your patience with us and your transparency. I appreciate it.
I guess it's my turn. So, yeah, I had the opportunity to send him a little note myself. So I appreciate everything you did. And I agree with Stu. Seems like it's been a lot more than 6 months, but it's been a good ride. That long ago when we picked you, a lot of us didn't know how this was going to go. And I think it turned out a lot better than we thought it was going to go. So thank you very, very much for all your hard work. And thank you to your wife for putting up with all of our texts or whatever on days off and everything. We really, really appreciate it. And good luck.
I think his wife is probably thanking us for getting him out of her hair for a little bit. Just kidding. Just kidding. Kevin, I just want to thank you. You were the perfect person to be interim for our city. You were exactly what we needed when we needed it. Appreciate all that you've done, all the work that you did. You were not a seat warmer. You hit the ground running as soon as you started and you never stopped. So thank you so much for helping to get us where we are now. And also helping to get our new city manager. I believe you played an integral part in that. So thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you for all of your time that you put into our city. And thank you for caring about us so much. We truly, truly appreciate you. Don't be a stranger. You're welcome back anytime. Happy to have you come visit anytime. So with that, we want to go ahead and give you your plaque. I'm not sure what you call this, and probably take a picture, I'm sure. All the way.
One, two, three. Thank you.
I obviously want to thank the council very much for giving me the chance to participate in a new city not far from my home of Tulare, the city of Lemoore. I've certainly grown to know a lot more about Lemoore and deeply appreciate it. And I think Lemoore is headed in the right direction. I think someday it will be the jewel of Kings County, and I think a lot of it because you have a great council. You have a new city manager who, I have to tell you, her references, she's well liked by the city councils she's for, by the staff, and by the community. Now, I'll tell you, not every manager can meet those three thresholds. And I think you have a real winner that will be here for a long time and serve you well. I really appreciate the opportunity you gave me to, considering I'd been out of service for a while, took a chance on me, gave me an opportunity to prove that I was, at my age, I still have something to contribute. And maybe the t-shirts are right. Old guys sometimes do rule, so I appreciate that. This is a great city with great days ahead, and I want to wish all of you that God will be with you on your great journey. Thank you again.
Thank you, sir. Our next presentation will be item 1-2, administration of the oath of office for the new city manager, Trejo.
All right, so I will administer the oath of office for our new city manager, Marissa Trejo. So I'll read you the oath and raise your right hand, and at the end, you can state I do. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California, that I take this obligation freely, without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter. I do. Thank you.
Thank you. No turning back now. And now item 1-3, recognition of retired wastewater coordinator, Rob Lord. Diego.
That's what she added. Oh,
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. I also want to thank Kevin Northcraft for his wonderful service. His perfect timing, he brought back a recognition and appreciation of our wonderful employees and retirees, and among a lot of other great things. And I know if you move to another city, they'll be really lucky to have you. So it's good to have had you on board and spend time with us. But I also like to exemplify another wonderful employee with that spirit. So in October of 2005, Robin Michael Pleward was hired by the city of Lemoore to work as a permanent part-time laborer. At that time, we had part-time, full-time positions in the wastewater collection division. The wastewater superintendent at the time, the legendary Bill Kinney, Must have been really impressed by Rob's performance because he gave him a chance to service Lemoore's vast wastewater collection system full-time after a year. After the legendary Rick Yanis retired as a wastewater collections coordinator, Rob was the logical and the best choice to replace Rick and becoming the new collections supervisor in 2017. Just for a bit of context to better understand Rob's role in the city and also all the wastewater collections positions. Before it was explained to me, I always thought that when people wash dishes, showered, brushed their teeth, or if there was a huge rainstorm, that water would somehow make it to the Pacific Ocean miraculously. That was as far as my imagination stretched at the time. In reality, when we use facilities in our home and businesses, or when we wash our vehicles on the driveway or over irrigate our lawns, that used water makes it down into underground pipes and all the way to the wastewater collections, sewer to storm lift stations. Storm lift station consists of underground tank, somewhere about the size of this room. And inside those tanks, there's usually equipped with 2 electric pumps that force wastewater upwards and to continue the fall again, and continues that process until it makes it to the final destination, which is our wastewater treatment facility. So with that little bit of context, the city also has a total of 45 sewer lift stations and storm lift stations, and about 150 miles of sewer and storm pipe. If any of those pipelines were plugged or broken, or if there was an electrical or mechanical malfunction in the lift stations, Rob and his team were called to respond at any time, day or night, atmospheric rain or 118-degree sunshine. Rob was always there. Rob was dedicated, always willing to respond to help not only ensure that the residents of Lemoore can continue to use the facilities and enjoy their lives free from waste and pollutants in the streets, but also to ensure that his entire crew made it home safely to enjoy their families, whether or not he got along with some of them. Because everybody who knew Rob knew that he had a rough exterior, but he also had a really soft heart. Rob loved his job and his family, which is probably why he was so good at it. Rob was so dedicated, even though Rob contracted valley fever. In the early months of last year, he was the kind of employee to schedule doctor's visits without missing too many hours of work. And notice to say hours, not days. He would never really take days off. But in September of 2023, last year, on a seemingly normal day, Rob came to my office and gave me the devastating news that he was not combating valley fever. He was combating cancer. And in the most Robust way possible, he also demanded that I not even think about ever putting him on light or modified duty. He fought bravely for an entire year, and he retired July of this year. So on behalf of the city of Lemoore, we would like to give a small token and our everlasting appreciation for 19 years of service and ensuring the health and quality of the life of the citizens of Lemoore. I'd like to present this award to the Plur family.
We have no study session, so we'll move on to public comment. Public comment will be in accordance with the attached policy. This time is reserved for members of the audience to address the city council on items of interest that are not on the agenda and are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the council. It is recommended that speakers limit their comments to 3 minutes each, and it is requested that no comments be made during this period on items on the agenda. The council is prohibited by law from taking any action on matters discussed that are not on the agenda. Prior to addressing the council, any handouts for council will be provided to the city clerk for distribution to the council and appropriate staff. The public will have an opportunity to comment on items on the agenda once the item has been called and the mayor opens the item to the public. Is there any public comment at this time? Mr. Betcher?
Good evening. My name is Mike Betcher, and I represent the museum here in Lemoore. It's the Sarah A. Mooney Memorial Museum at 542 D Street. We're open Sundays from 12 to 3 for docent-led tours. I rise to speak today to bring up our next event. And this will be the 7th year that we are putting on our cemetery walk. And I have Bill Black with us tonight. He's our historian, and he comes up with the folks that we highlight and gets their stories for us. I have tickets for sale, as well as Ramblin' Rose. They have them for sale as well. And please attend. It's September 28th out at the Lemoore Cemetery. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other public comment? Mr. Walker, welcome back.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. Good evening. It's good to be back. I'm here to proudly represent the Rotary Club of Lemoore. We have exciting news. We're breaking way for our upcoming crab feed this November. Save the date for November 2nd, the first Saturday of the month. We've been taking community feedback. We're really excited to roll out some changes to improve this year's event. But I also want to really take a moment to express what this event represents and what the funds and proceeds go to. This year, we've built 25 beds for children in Kings County and Lemoore who were previously sleeping on the floor. These include the actual bed frame itself, the mattress, brand new pillows and blankets and comforters, whether it's Spider-Man, Princess, Transformers, whatever the kids want. And this was also with help from the Prino Foods Foundation. Thank you, the Prino Foods Foundation, as well as the Lemoore East team for volunteering and building, and you, Madam Mayor, for coming out and building with us.
Thanks for letting me use power tools.
Maybe not next year, but but in all seriousness, the proceeds from this event go to incredible causes, whether dictionaries for 3rd graders, books for local libraries. This past academic year, we gave 8 $750 scholarships to students. These proceeds stay in our community. So I want to encourage everyone to keep an eye out on our social media and website for when tickets will be released. Again, that will be November 2nd. That is a Saturday. Looking forward to seeing y'all there. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other public comment? Quiet crowd. We'll go ahead and move on to department and city manager reports. Ms. Trejo, I don't know what to say. I'm sorry. Well, we'll get that figured out.
This is my first report. So I just wanted to say today is my actual very first day, and we have a council meeting today. So I've had a wonderful first day. Staff has been great. Everybody's very friendly, very knowledgeable, great with sharing information. So I just wanted to share that I have had a great first day. Some of the staff members are here. They've all been very helpful. My husband is here, and the one child in the audience is my son, that's Christian. And then our fire chief from Coalinga is here with his wife, Sarah, and Sean, who is was our assistant city manager in Coalinga, but now is the city manager since I left. They are here to show their support. So I just want to thank them for being here.
Any other department reports? Chief?
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Just a couple things. The flock cameras are completely installed. They're up and running. We've already received a few hits on them, and we're already using them for a few investigations. Pretty quickly. I was actually kind of surprised, like the first day we got a hit, so it was good. This Sunday at 10 a.m. at the Hanford Civic, the New Testament Baptist Church will be holding a public safety appreciation service for first responders. The event is open to the public, and they have asked that I attend, which I will, and some of our other officers. And then the only thing is the homecoming parade is scheduled for October 4th, and we'll be staffing that as well. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Chief, question. So how about a little update on our call center?
So Motorola was in town last week. They installed their antennas. One antenna arrived damaged, and so they have to come back. They got what they could installed, but it's, again, that's kind of what we're waiting on. Still waiting on Comcast. NGA can't really move forward until they can start testing how their system's going to implement with the radio system. how the 911 system interacts with the radio.
Is there a particular reason why we're with Comcast instead of somebody like AT&T or?
They were our existing internet,
Okay.
and it was easier to pull it because everything has to come from that other building. So yeah, it was really just the ease of everything else.
Good enough. Good. Thank you.
What was the date of the homecoming parade again? I'm sorry.
I have October 4th.
Thank you. Mr. Rivera.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. I just have a few project updates. Our D Street overlay project is scheduled to go out to bid on September 13th. The 2024 road maintenance project, they will be starting demolition of asphalt areas throughout the project scope areas and about the 23rd or 30th, they will start the actual micro seal portion of the project. At the same time, PFMD Zone 2, which is part of the project, has some curb and gutter and sidewalk issues that were raised due to trees that uprooted the curb and gutter. That'll be happening beginning on September 9th, demo of that specific project area. Today we had Public Works and SUSP had a pre-construction meeting with the Maverick contractor just regarding the offsite utilities. They will be starting tomorrow, saw cutting the sewer line, which is going to be down the center of Iona. So the pothole, I mean, they'll actually saw cut the road, pothole any infrastructure that's in the way, and then probably start to lay the sewer line into the week and into next week. Yes, sir.
So the blue pipe that's coming in on the east side of their property there.
That looks like their water line. The blue is usually for their water.
So where are they bringing that line in from?
So there's the existing water main on Iona.
Okay.
They will have like probably 3 actual taps. So I think they have a 6-inch fire, a 4-inch domestic, and then a 2-inch landscape that they'll actually tap into the main.
So the curb and gutter on the north side of Iona. They're gonna go from 19th and Iona east. And how far east? Will they go at least?
They will, yeah, they will go to their property line, then they'll have a little transition taper. That allow just kind of like a deceleration lane. That allow you to turn into their parking lot. And then as the next development occurs, they'll extend the curb and gutter through their property. But they have quite a bit of curb and gutter. It's
Will it go at least to that fire hydrant? That's
yes, so the fire hydrant is probably their property line.
Yeah.
And then there'll be kind of like a deceleration lane that'll be created. Yes, yes, sir.
but they've got all that property though, right?
Yes,
Yeah. Okay.
yes, sir. Yeah. They'll actually dig out a large basin in back of the adjacent property. That's where their storm runoff will run into.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank
That's and then I think we started the installing the swing over at the PFMD Zone 4. So that got installed. The actual swing set got installed last week, and so now the street maintenance crew, Nick and his crew, are installing the bark and then some backfill that needs to occur to make it all tie in well. So, but anyway, that's all I have for you.
It looks good.
I just have a quick
So,
question. The
yes.
PFMD2 curb and gutter replacement, is that in a specific area or is it throughout the whole PFMD?
Wherever we saw the water standing in the gutter, we identified and put as part of the project. So it's
Kind of scattered.
it's kind of scattered.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Greenlee?
Well, I must say, first off, it's unusual. I haven't cleared the house. Usually everybody leaves when I get up. But welcome, Madam Mayor, Council, and our new city manager. And of course, Kevin, good to see you again. I'm going to bring you some updates for the building division first. As Frank was talking about Maverick, they did come in, they pulled permits, they paid for everything. I spoke to them. They're anticipating March of 25 as their grand opening date. So bear in mind weather, that kind of stuff, but that's what they're hoping for. Dee Dee's, just get an update on Dee Dee's. PG&E did finally get the transformer over there. And so they do have power, and they've got it supplying the old switchgear, and they're waiting for the new switchgear. So we don't have any idea, but at least they're moving forward. They didn't give me an opening date, but they're about halfway through right now with the construction process. So I can't give you an update, but I'll keep you posted when I find something out on that. Any questions on? building?
Why does Dee Dee's need a new switchgear?
Because the panels and everything that's there is all old and outdated. So it has to
So
be.
anything else that goes in there potentially may have the same delays? I know it's
No.
almost full, but
I don't think so, because they're waiting on some structural things they haven't completed, but everything else is just normal drywall, that type of stuff, nothing out of the ordinary. T-bar ceiling, sprinkler system, that type of stuff. It's the switch gear, and we all know how, it takes. We haven't got an update yet as far as when, but at least they've got power. They can still keep going with the project. Any other questions on that, the building?
I have more questions, but I'll ask you
Okay.
outside here.
Okay, recreation. Our next big one coming up is flag football. It starts September 14th, and you're all invited for opening day. It's a Saturday, and it's 8 a.m. And we try to do a big celebration. Fire department, police department, everybody will come. We try to put on a big show. This year, we've surpassed anything we've done in years past. We have 410 children signed up, and we still have people on the waiting list. We just can't do it. We don't have enough fields. We don't have enough staff, not enough hours. We're looking at a 10-hour day. So on Saturdays, but it's a good thing. It's a good problem to have. So we appreciate that. We have the 100-year time capsule opening celebration, September 26th from 4 to 6. It will be held at the old City Hall, which is over here on 119 Fox Street, and then also at the fire department at 210 Fox Street. So we have a flyer. The fire department is going to be opening the time capsule and reading whatever is in there. So I assume there's stuff to read. So anyway, any questions on that?
So what was that date again?
September 26th, 4 to 6. Then we started registration today. Our program is called Baby Ballers. It runs from today till October 3rd. And then the season will start October 21st and run through December 14th. And the ages are 3 to 5 years old. We did this last year. We had a huge demand for it. So we're going to do it again, which leads me into this next process here the process that we're going through right now is that the city, we're trying to join the Junior NBA League and the MLS soccer, Major League Soccer. So it'll be just like our NFL program. We'll get official jerseys and we'll get official everything from both leagues, and which is pretty good. So we're just waiting on the contract to be signed, and our new city manager will get the opportunity to review it. If she agrees with everything, then we'll be able to get that in place. And then Baby Ballers, well, we have 2 flyers made, so we'll switch it over to Junior NBA, which would be really cool because again, they're getting actual official stuff. So it's going to be pretty cool. And then the last update I have is the bleacher that was ordered from all the donations and stuff like that is scheduled to be delivered tomorrow.
Yay.
So I've been keeping up on that to see. So hopefully we'll receive that. And then I'll notify the service clubs. A few of them wanted to get involved with assembly. So we'll see when the maintenance department will be able to do that. But we're very excited. We're very happy and again, appreciative.
If they need any help, I know how to use some tools.
That'd be scary.
So anything else?
Any other questions? No, I think that's it.
Good job on looking out for the extra different organizations. That could work out good.
Yeah, no, we're excited. I mean, it's cool to see all come together, and they did. I've spoke to everybody and keeping them updated. I didn't get a chance. I only talked to the Rotary today to let them know, but I will contact everybody. I told them I'll contact them as soon as we receive it. So It's in Arizona right now and it's on its way. So pretty excited about that. So anything else?
How old is the time capsule?
It is 100 years old, sir.
That's what I figured.
Yeah.
Are we gonna bury a new one?
That's a good question. I've had people ask me that. I don't know. That, I think that it's gonna be up to the city manager and the fire department, because it seems to be kind of a fire department thing that was done. My understanding history, the fire department helped purchase that building, or build it. So, it's up to council, up to the city manager and fire department. It'd be pretty cool to do something again. Now, rumor has it, and I'm not sure if it's true, but rumor has it, I heard there's an iPhone in there. We had some sort of time traveler come through and put his iPhone in there.
All right, thanks,
but,
Ray, thanks.
But anyway, but that's a good question. That's I guess it's gonna be left up to, I guess, everybody and our city manager. So
I think we should. I think we should put something else in there.
We might know a guy we can maybe put in a good word. It's you.
We're looking at you.
I think that's what we're looking at Johnny. Come on.
okay, is that it?
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Did I miss anybody? I think I got everybody. We'll go ahead and move on to consent calendar. Items considered routine in nature are placed on the consent calendar. They will be considered and voted upon in one vote as one item unless a council member or member of the public requests individual consideration. Item 4-1, approval minutes, regular meeting, August 20th, 2024. 4-2, approval budget amendment, uplifting of 2 police vehicles. 4-3, approval notice of completion and budget amendment, CIP 17008, Cimarron Lift Station. 4-4, approval notice of completion, CIP 22006, Site 7, tank repair. 4-5, approval bid award and budget amendment, Public Facility Maintenance District, PFMD 2. 4-6, approval resolution 2024-27, accepting the closeout report for local early action planning grant program funds. Does anybody want to pull any of those? Does any council member want to pull any of those items?
I just have a question about 4.6. That was the closeout of our planning grant for a general plan. Is that what I remember? Yeah. Well, did it deal with the general plan? Did it have population estimates and things like that?
If you could come to the microphone, please.
This grant was for the VMT thresholds that we adopted. It did include paying the consultant for the housing element. So that might be where you're thinking.
I was going through the agenda the other night and I was going through the agenda the other night and a couple things came to, it had to do with our fees. That's what I was.
Oh, the impact fee study
Impact
that
fees.
we adopted
Is
also.
that in there?
That was, yes, that this grant paid for that study.
And the only thing, well, yeah, I'd like to pull that one.
Okay. 4-6. Well, anything else from council?
Just to be clear, the impact fee study and the VMT thresholds have already been adopted.
I understand that. Yeah. Well, we can always change them.
4-2.
Yeah, 4-2.
Anything else? Is there a member of the public that would like to pull an item off the consent calendar? Seeing none, I'll go ahead and entertain a motion to approve 4-1, 4-3, 4-4, and 4-5.
Motion.
Second and 6.
No,
he pulled
6 is pulled.
Sorry, 4.
I have a motion by Councilmember Orth and a second by Councilmember Garza. Councilmember Orth,
Yes.
Councilmember Garza,
Yes.
Councilmember Lyons,
Yes.
Councilmember Gornick,
Yes.
and I vote yes as well. Passes 5-0. 4-2. What is your question, sir?
I'll let him give it the mic. Have we been using those vehicles already or no?
No.
Okay.
So I think 2 years ago or something like that, it happened to us again. Or, similar, we make those purchases July 1st, July 2nd, whatever. Takes us a while to get those vehicles in. I think those 2 came in December. And then everything was on back order. They won't order the parts until we have a VIN. We don't get a VIN until the vehicle ships. And we're always skirting that, the budget cycle. And so this year, the work had not been completed until after the fiscal year, so that money rolled back.
Okay, I just was asking, the drawings look good. I really like that.
Yeah.
That looked good. I just didn't know if we were using them already, but that's good. That's all.
Any other questions or comments from council? Seeing none, I'll go ahead and open it to the public. Is there any questions or comments on this item? I'll bring it back to council for a motion.
Motion to approve 4-2.
Second.
A motion by Councilmember Orth and a second by Councilmember Garza. Councilmember Orth,
Yes.
Councilmember Garza.
Yeah.
Councilmember Lyons.
Yes.
Councilmember Gornick.
Yes.
And I vote yes, also 5-0. 4-6.
And Marissa's gonna help me pull this report up. A couple things, there was a population estimate in there. Do you recall that?
In the impact fee study, correct? Okay, yeah.
And it was for, I think, 50,000 people by 2030.
I don't remember the exact number. It's a little bit of a misnomer because the way the impact fee study works is you estimate all the land that's planned to develop.
Right.
So all the land that we had planned to develop, if every inch of it was developed, it could support 50,000 people. So it's not really a population projection. It's a projection of how many people could actually live in the space that we've planned for.
Yeah. Well,
But that never happens because you
Right.
you never completely build out a city. You always keep planning. So
well, I mean, there may come a time where citizens might want to decide what's the extent of the city that we want to have in terms of its size and with respect to the amount of water we could use and the discussion we had earlier about, we could, if we had more parks, we could probably have more leagues for kids to get involved in, et cetera. And all I'm saying is that this is a document for the state, but it's really not a document for us in terms of, it's for the state to kind of plan and how we can grow, but we don't really get a chance to discuss that. The other part was there were some sections in here, like certain businesses that were not allowed, we didn't assign any impact fees for parks. And I guess I wondered why. Is that just
most
custom or is that?
Yeah, most cities don't charge commercial businesses park impact fees.
Well,
They only charge the residences.
I know, but I'm just saying, if you're talking about quality of life and quality of experience in a city, parks make up a part of that, And if you look at the larger cities, they do have some kind of an assessment for that. And all I'm just saying is that there's some dots that need to be connected in this document to what we really want as a city in terms of our discussion, in terms of the size that we want and the amenities that we want, things of that nature. Otherwise, good document. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from council? Seeing none, I'll open it up to the public. Any other questions or comments?
This item that just came up, here's the example I'm talking about. Parks and Recreation. We don't charge a water fee, use fee, a waste fee. And the point is they're doing business in our community. It's a part of their community. They located here. They thought it was a good community. They should be contributing to all of the amenities that provide the ambience of our city. Just my opinion, but it just should be put in there. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Reed.
Tom Reed, 5 Lemoore. Going along that line of charging commercial enterprises, for parks. I think if you're not doing it now, that's really not a good thing to be doing because we're in a period where people are against taxes. If you start charging them, then that's another incentive for those businesses to go elsewhere. So I would be very careful when we head down that road. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments? Okay, the online commenter.
Good evening, council. This is Randon, management analyst with Public Works. Mr. Gornick, I just kind of wanted to touch on what you were talking about as far as the impact fees. Charging for parks would be kind of difficult, but that is also why I wanted to bring back up. We've gone to the CFDs, which will incorporate commercial businesses. And that's kind of how we will start to get more of the maintenance of the parks and things of that sort, as opposed to doing it on the impact fee side. I just wanted to put that.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Seeing nothing else, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
I have a motion by Councilmember Gornick,
Second.
second by Councilmember Lyons. Councilmember Gornick.
Aye.
Councilmember Lyons,
Yes.
Councilmember Garza.
Yeah.
Councilmember Ord,
Yes.
and I vote yes as well. Passes 5-0. Moving on to public hearings. Item 5-1, public hearing, approval of authorization of staff to submit 2024 through 2032 draft housing element and fair housing analysis to HCD. Mr. Brandt.
Thank you. So this hearing is part of the housing element adoption process. The housing element is one piece of your general plan. It's unique in that it is the only part of your general plan that the state also has to certify. So the process is a little different as we're doing what most cities do, which is they don't adopt the housing element at the same time as all the other elements of the general plan are adopted. So, and actually the state has us on a schedule. So most of the San Joaquin Valley cities are going through this housing element process right now. Other parts of the state are either ahead or behind us based on where they live. So just to tee this up, the first part of preparing the housing element is the regional housing needs assessment, which the acronym is RHNA or RENA. So you might hear that. That is basically just the state telling the Kings County, and Kings County, when I say Kings County, includes the cities, telling all of Kings County, here's how many houses we think you need to build between 2024 and 2032. And then the four cities in the county get together and divide that number up. And so our RENA number is how much we have agreed that we're doing. So that was a process that Christy was heavily involved in last year. And so now that we know our number, the housing element has been prepared to show that we can actually support that number of housing. We're not required to build that many houses, but we're required to show the state that we can build that many houses if the market, shows up and does it. So that would include things like making sure we have enough vacant land available to do it. We don't have overly restrictive policies that would scare people away, things like that. So this part where we're at right now is we have a draft housing element, and what we have done, which has been done successfully in the past, is we have one document that covers all four cities and the county. And so the county took the lead. They hired a consultant to prepare that document. And so that document is ready to go to the state for their initial review once all of the cities and the county say it's ready to go. So this is your chance to say it's ready to go. The other cities are all having the same type of hearing. What will happen after this is The state will review it. They will most likely want changes. They hardly ever like it the first time. And then we'll go back and we'll have some back and forth and we'll eventually bring back to you a final version for your adoption. So you're not adopting anything tonight. What you're doing is saying, yes, we're ready to send this to the state to see what they think. So the consultant that worked on this, his name is Alex George. He should be on the line and ready to give a presentation about it. And then if you have any questions, either he or I can answer them. So I'll pass it over to Isaac.
Thank you very much. Madam Mayor, members of the council, city manager, congratulations, staff and members of the public. We will just very quickly go through the slides and provide you some of the analysis that we have found out as part of the fair housing analysis and what our arena obligations are and whether or not we will be able to meet those. I would not repeat what Brian has mentioned already about the process, just to be brief and succinct. The city clerk would move the slide along as we speak. Next slide, please. With regards to Lemoore, of the total apportionment of about 9,429 housing units to be potentially built in the sixth cycle, that is within the next 8 years up to 2032. 25% of that is allocated to Lemoore. You can see how it is apportioned for the different communities, including the unincorporated county. Next slide, please. The allocation for Lemoore has been further subdivided based on what the state would like us to address, which is extremely low income, very low income, low, moderate, and above moderate. Extremely low income is usually 50% of very low income number. And the state has been really asking cities to come up with programs to address low income housing needs. Next slide, please. The fair housing analysis since this year has become a separate study. In the past, we used to have a couple of paragraphs in the past, but from the sixth cycle onwards, we have to do extensive analysis on all these topics that you see on the board, on the slide, which is analyzing key data, background information about the city and the county, fair housing enforcement and outreach, integration and segregation patterns and trends, racially or ethnically concentrated areas of poverty, disparities in access to opportunity, disproportionate housing needs in the jurisdiction, and finally, displacement risk. And then we move on to site inventory, looking at all the vacant lands that's in the city, which can accommodate the different income categories that we talked about. That's very critical to make sure that all income categories, including extremely low to above mod categories, are addressed, and we apportion a certain number and allocation to each and every category. And then we stop with the identification of contributing factors to fair housing issues, goals and actions, and which leads to a set of programs for the next 8 years. Next slide, please. With regards to the community outreach and timeline, we conducted a workshop quite some time ago and prepared the draft as it is before you. And we hope to adopt it by about April, May. And that's the time schedule that we have. Next slide, please. Next slide. In terms of the data analysis, we found out that we have a total population of about 26,000 people, about 27,000 households, about 44% of Hispanic or Latino population. And then of which about 52% are owner occupied. Every house on an average, the household has about 2.94 people, which is less than 3, which is a very good number, showing that there's very little overcrowding overall on an average. That is not to say that there are in some neighborhoods which has some overcrowding. And the median household income is 68,658, which is also not a bad number compared to other cities in the county. And we have some poverty, about 12.7%, which is again not that bad. Although as we will find out that on an average, the city has about 20% or less poverty, but few tracts have much less than the 12%, and some have much more than that. And there are few tracts with that data. Next slide, please. We'll go through quickly without reading through. I've made some notes here and just give you the gist of it. Diversity captures the racial and ethnic diversity of a geographic area. And the Fair Housing document is inundated with this kind of discussion about race and who lives where and what their incomes are, where there is disparities, discrimination, and all of this is required as part of the analysis. So you will find that this is very new for us, not only for us, but all cities. As we have seen that, white population comprise about 40% or so, and Hispanic population is slightly higher, about 44%. And next slide, please. When we talk about race and income, we are basically looking at an index called Gini index. Next slide, please. And Gini index is all about the household income that you make. And in an ideal society, if everyone were making a good income, we will be all at 0. So if you compare Lemoore's index with the state average, Lemoore's is about 0.356, whereas the state's is about 0.408. So we can kind of surmise that the income inequality that we have in our community is less than the state average. Some communities in the county has a higher inequality. Next slide, please. I will just pass on to these slides because these are just graphic representations showing if there is any gradations by a certain color scheme. As you can see in the legend, that tells a specific number and analyzes the entire county and the city areas. So without belaboring too much and explaining on that, we'll just go with the hard numbers. Next slide, please. Next slide. Next slide. This one gives an across-the-board comparison because the state requires us to compare the region-wide and neighboring city statistic. So for those who review and study the report, it will be easier for them to understand the differences. Next slide, please. Now we come to what is called dissimilarity index. It is basically that, there are dissimilarities among populations. And when we really look at our community, we kind of assess that people tend to live in different neighborhoods based on their ethnicity. Say, for example, Hispanic and white population tend to live in separate neighborhoods, especially more white population living in the suburbs. Next slide, please. Next slide.
The next item that is critical is analyzing racially or ethnically concentrated areas of poverty. Is called recap in short. And the finding is that there are no recaps in Lemoore. So basically what a recap is that if it is a metropolitan community with a non-white population of 50%, then you are expected to have a recap analysis. But other communities such as ours that is not part of a major metropolitan area, which is more of a micropolitan area or not, then there the threshold is 20%. Now, let's say we are neither a metropolitan or micropolitan area. We are a typical neighborhood. And there also, recap is analyzed if we find out that there is excess of 40% of poverty, in which case you will have to calculate it. As I've mentioned before, poverty is concentrated in the central tracts, census tracts 4.03, 05, and 07. However, as a whole, there are no recaps in Lemoore. Next slide, please. You could forward these graphic slides and then come to the analytical portion. Another concept is what is called racially concentrated areas of affluence. Basically, what does that mean? That means you must have a median income overall, and that should be above $125,000 per household, median income. Median is not the average, is the midpoint, and a population that is 80% or white. The county has one area with RCAA. However, in our town, we do not have an RCAA population. That means we don't really have a subdivision of our community that is over 80% white. Next slide, please. Next. The next analysis was about disparities in access to opportunities. So what are basically opportunities? The Housing and Community Development and TCAC, which some of you have heard about, is the Tax Credit Allocation Committee who gives out grants for low-income housing to cities on a competitive basis. They came up with all these slides, the numbers and the graphics so that consultants can easily access it and interpret the data. And basically they say that every community has high resource areas, moderate resources, and low resources. So one would ask, what are these types of resources? And that would be accessibility to very good schools or parks and recreation facilities, transportation facilities, and such. So they are called resources. So with regards to that, our community, the city of Lemoore, has high to highest resource areas in town, which is a very good one overall. Again, that is not to say that some smaller areas in town may have a lower resource. It is not everywhere accessible, but on an average, the city has high resources, which is a very good one. Next slide, please. Number 7 talks about disproportionate housing needs. So basically, we will look at communities' overpayments, how much is being overpaid by renters versus homeowners, and they typically range in the 20 to 40% overpayment. Then we also look at a disproportionate need as overcrowding, and that would be in some places severely overcrowded. Overcrowding is typically if you have more than one person in a bedroom, then that is called overcrowding. And severe overcrowding is if you have more than that residing in one bedroom. Say, for example, severe overcrowding for owner households in the city is about 0.7%, while that for renters is about 2.8%. And that's naturally expected across the board when you analyze owner occupied versus renter populations. And it is not atypical. Every city that we have analyzed has a higher number with regards to renters. That means renters have a higher burden in terms of overpayment as well as overcrowding because of the resources are meager. Next slide, please.
Hold on. I have a question. Where did you get this data from?
This data comes from the state of California, HCD, Housing and Community Development, the entity that reviews this document, and also prepared in coordination with the Tax Credit Allocation Committee. So they generate these numbers and distribute it as a data set to all the cities, counties, council of governments, and ultimately to the consultants. Next slide, please. So that is expressed in these slides otherwise, and we don't create these maps. These are given to us and we just extrapolate those numbers. We come to displacement, and the question is, what is displacement? It could be many things to many people. Basically, it happens when people are displaced from where they are, and typically it happens to lower income communities. So one example is that, let's say we have a couple of low income housing that is a tax credit project with a 55-year covenant, and now we are in the 54th year, and it is possible that the following year the owner of that property is going to convert this into a market rate facility. So the question is what the city can do. Not really much, because it's a contract, and then it expires. The owner has the right to do what they want according to the contract. However, cities can do ask the owner to give residents notice 1 year ahead of time so that the residents are prepared to find alternate locations, or the city can also work with the owners and then see if the city can buy out that property, that opportunity, by working out some kind of an arrangement. It could be through a state grant that the city can get, where you buy them out, and that is rare, but these have to be discussed, analyzed in the report. Next slide, please. All of this boils down to figuring out what we have in terms of land availability, and that is what a site inventory is. Next slide, please. With regards to the inventory, we have found out that we have sufficient lands. In your report, it is possible that we may have had some older numbers based on the first set of numbers we received from the county with regards to the vacant land availability. So after this meeting, we will make some minor corrections if we find that there are some minor errors, and then only after correcting that we will send it out. We have analyzed different contributing factors as to why these disparities occur, and they are sometimes assumptions and sometimes they are based on hard facts. Next slide, please. The obligation finally comes in a manner as to maintaining and preserving the existing affordable housing stock, assisting in the provision of housing, which is essentially production of housing, removing governmental constraints as necessary. And constraints are, we talked about impact fees earlier, but the state is asking us to look at and find ways where we can assist lower income groups with a lower impact fee, or waiving an impact fee, or structuring an impact fee over longer periods of time. And that type of concept is transpiring into other incentives that we can give with regards to even city fees. But the only problem is that many of cities such as ours don't really have the money to dole out because most of us survive on the typical taxes that we receive from the state, DMV taxes on general apportionments, development fees and things like that, which are essential for us to keep the city running. In the olden days, we used to have the tax increment financing on redevelopment agencies, which was abolished by the state. I believe as a consultant, we should lobby to bring back tax increment financing, at least to be able to finance affordable housing. Cities and counties may have misused the provisions of the redevelopment agency in the past, but we should probably lobby to bring it back so that at least we'll have some money where we can provide these so-called incentives that the state is asking us to provide. Without the money, how will we ever provide it? And ultimately, the crux of this exercise is promoting equal housing opportunities. Next slide, please. This is a format that we will fill out. The sixth cycle allocation is what Brad mentioned about the RENA allocation, the actual numbers. That will be the actual new construction that we are expected to facilitate. And then in addition, we will look at, based on these comments coming back from HCD, how much can be rehabilitated through code enforcement action, maybe assisting with some kind of a funds from CDBG or other sources to be able to help lower income groups to do some maintenance on their housing and or conservation. And it could be, let's say, if we have a mobile home park, how could we conserve that? And again, that ties to displacement so that people don't convert these into something else, because mobile home parks are considered as essentially affordable, low-income kind of locations for people to live. Next slide, please. When we adopt this document, eventually we also have to do a CEQA analysis and typically what is called a common sense exemption is prepared and at the time of adoption. Next slide, please. So at this time, if the council has any questions, staff or the consultant would be glad to answer those. If not, the meeting being a public hearing should be open for the public to ask or provide any comments or support to this document, and then close the public hearing. And the staff recommendation is to simply allow staff to forward this to HCD for review. Other than that, there is no action on this at this meeting.
I have a question. Can you go back to slide 42, please? I'm sorry.
Before you do that, sir, I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing so I don't forget to do that.
Okay.
So. What did you say? 20 what?
42.
42, sorry.
42.
No. Can you explain the difference between the third and the fourth one on the housing type?
I don't see the slide yet.
Rehabilitation versus conservation / rehabilitation. What's the difference?
Yes, that's pretty simple. Rehabilitation is about providing some incentives either through city's own financing or through grants that is available through CDBG or other types of funding, where you would give a smaller amount of money to low income groups, where they would be able to provide new sidings or some foundations or a new roof so that the house looks good, the neighborhood looks good. So there is a little bit of a beautification effort, but more than that, it is the rehabilitation of the housing for a lower income group to be able to live and enjoy. Whereas conservation is conserving what's there without knocking it off the list. Say, for example, if, as I've mentioned, if we have a mobile home, we don't want to see that the mobile home is taken out, decommissioned, and somebody else builds a multi-story building out there. So that's basically the difference between conservation and rehabilitation. I see that there is a / rehabilitation repetition on those two lines. I'll clarify that and correct it.
So you're saying it should be rehabilitation on line 3 and just conservation on
Yeah,
line?
just conservation on the other one.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Sure.
Any other questions from council? Mr. Gornick?
Can we go back to the, I guess these are some conclusions I'm getting out of this report, and I'd like to see if I'm correct or not. So on the demographic data, it shows a median household income of $68,658. And we have a poverty rate of, or percentage, I should say. Of
Yeah, it's sub 12%.
12.7. That's below the state.
Yes, I believe that's below the state.
Okay, I thought so. I just wasn't sure. And the fair housing indicator, the R/ECAP, Lemoore does not have any RECAPs.
Yes, these are communities have mentioned the median income of that area should be 125,000 or more. Let's say we have different census tracts within our community, and in one census tract, if you have white population over 80%, that means majority of the people in that community is white, and if they have more than household income of 125,000, then
I understand
it is
that. I understand that. What I want to, I'm assuming, and I want you to confirm whether I'm right or not, that because we have no RECAPS, our neighborhoods are integrated both by race and by income.
As a whole, we can say that there is some integration, but we also have seen that in an earlier slide that there is some disintegration as well, because Hispanic people tend to live in Hispanic communities.
Don't we? But, you know, I'm trying to go off of your report. Your report says that there are no recaps in Lemoore.
Yes.
The populations are generally integrated as illustrated in the segregation integration maps. So
Yes.
I'm assuming that's a good thing, that our neighborhoods are generally integrated by race and by income.
Yes, that is a good thing.
Thank you.
I mean, you cannot expect any place, we really cannot expect total diversity. It's in theory, we can say, yes, that's possible. But in other words, it is not always possible.
I know, but for Lemoore, it looks pretty good.
Yeah, it looks pretty good.
Okay, that's what I wanted you to say.
Yes, Lemoore is a prosperous community. When you look at all the indicators across the board, it is probably one of the best communities that we have.
Okay, thank you. And
Thank you. Just so you know, that was recorded. I'm going to put that as a ringtone probably.
One more too.
Good. And it's one more. It's the fair housing indicator. It says disparities in access to opportunities. So on the bottom of your slide, it says Lemoore has a high to higher resource area.
Yes, which is good.
That's a good indicator in terms of access to jobs, access to education, all different levels. And
Yes.
services as well.
It's not just good, it's excellent.
Thank you. Okay.
Also recorded.
You did a good job. Good job.
Thank you.
I do want to go back to one of your first slides that has the percentages, Avenel, Corcoran, Hanford, Lemoore.
Yes.
That, no, that one right there. That doesn't add to 100%. That's 101. So if you want to figure it out.
They are just mathematical aggregation errors. You know, like some of the numbers when they calculate, it may just go over a minor percent.
Well, I'm a math guy and I saw 101. So
Thank you. I'll check my math again.
Awesome. I have one question. Do you know the state's poverty level percentage?
The state poverty level percentage, if you just give me a minute, I'll get that.
Just going to get it for you right now.
Okay. I guess I could have Googled it. I just.
So the allocation for Lemoore, is it 25% or 24%?
Yeah, the state is about 13.2%. I just went on the internet and just got it.
Okay.
I like that, Johnny. That was good.
Any other questions or comments from council? I'll go ahead and open it up to the public. Are there any questions or comments from the public? Mr. Walker?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and good evening again, council. I want to encourage that the council approve staff recommendation and forward it to HCD. I believe it's important to be proactive in our submission because when we are in this process, it opens us up to eligibility for grants with the state of California. One of the grants being ASIC, Affordable Housing Sustainable Communities, which Lemoore was a previous recipient of. There's also a number of other grant opportunities that come with submitting this document that would encourage the city to apply for and pursue, given our current situation. And overall, I just want to thank the staff for their time on this incredibly complex document, their talent and treasure that we are incredibly thankful for. And just want to again encourage you to submit the HCD. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions?
Before you finish it, I've mentioned that we should lobby to bring back tax increment financing, and in some of the other jurisdictions that I'm working, that is beyond Kings County, we are putting in a recommendation to lobby with the state. That means the city or the county will have to lobby with the congressmen and senators to bring back some kind of a legislation allowing tax increment financing only for production of affordable housing. I mean, because if you say, yeah, we just want to reinvent redevelopment again, they will say, no, that's not going to happen. But the kind of the stress that cities have now with the current housing element production is heavy. Cities don't have the money, and so where do we come up with the money? So independently, as a consultant, when we thought about it, isn't it a good idea to bring back tax increment financing? And in order for that to happen, somebody has to lobby and legislate. And so if the council don't mind us putting that back, I'll be glad to put it.
Is that something you're coordinating, or is that you just want councils to lobby with our, I mean,
for the time being, it is just one of the programs, and later on, you can decide how you want to lobby. You can do in conjunction with the League of Cities, the League of Counties, and then talk about it and see what can we do. But some other cities have agreed and said that's not a bad idea.
With that, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve 5-1.
second.
A motion by Councilmember Orth and a second by Councilmember Gornick. Sorry, I forgot how to spell for a second. Councilmember Orth,
Yes.
Councilmember Gornick,
Yes.
Councilmember Garza,
Yes.
Councilmember Orth. Councilmember Lyons.
Yes.
Sorry. And I vote yes as well. It passes 5-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Sure, take care.
Moving on to new business, 6-1, report and recommendation approval of agreement between the city of Lemoore and Axon Enterprises Incorporated. Chief Kendall.
Good evening again, Mayor and Council. Before you is our proposed contract with Axon. Axon is or has been our vendor for tasers going back to 2005, our body cameras, going back to 2015. And then we also have an interview room set up in the police department that has audio and video recording as well. Our current contract expired. The first year of this proposed contract is just under $42,000. The moving forward, it would be $119,000 each year for those following 4 years. Our current tasers and body cameras are no longer supported by Axon. We haven't had new tasers in quite a while. I can't find, we've really just been piecemealing them together at this point. The tasers and the cameras kind of are one and the same. The tasers actually have the capability of activating the body camera when you remove the taser from the holster and activate it. Should we enter into this agreement, we would get all new tasers, we would get all new body cameras. The lifespan on the body cameras are only 2.5 years. They would supply those cameras every 2.5 years. So we would get an initial order in November. 2.5 years later, we'd get another one. And then before the contract is over, we'd get another brand new set of cameras. Included in this contract is our storage. That's the kind of one of the bigger price points. So going back to 2015, over the course of the last 9 years, we have incurred 10.3 terabytes of video. We're currently over our allotment. We are only allotted 6 terabytes. Taser's been working with us. But that would also include the video audio for the interview room as well. That's kind of the brief on that. It's easier if I just answer any questions you may have on this contract.
We currently have, what kind of body worn cameras do we currently have? Is the box and then there's a separate camera, or is it all in one?
No, it's really up to, because again, we've been piecemealing these together. Some of the officers wear them on their lapel, but it is still a box.
Okay.
It's just wired
They have a
up to the
remote
lapel.
camera.
We want to get it kind of either over or under the line of sight if you do have a weapon in your hand. And so a lot of are electing to go with the lapel mounted cameras.
They're clear. They're clear. They're good.
Yeah.
That's what we have.
Do you, how many did you get in an order? Curious.
How many?
Like you said, they'll give us an order. How many are you talking about in this?
44. So,
and that's for like 2 years?
For the cameras, it's 2.5 years.
2.5 years.
Yeah, the tasers, they obviously don't get used as much.
Right.
I mean, the officers are turning on and off their cameras, you know.
But I mean, got some spares in there?
That's to include spares.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, we're slated for 33 officers, 10 reserves. We know we're only going to carry, so many.
Yeah.
So this wasn't in your budget for
The
20?
first year of this is, but that's really what our cost is for this year. Had we not entered into this agreement, and that just gets us storage. And like I said, they've basically been working with us. They've told us if you continue and you don't want to, get into this contract, it's going to be about $70,000 for that additional storage because we're over. Again, having this contract since 2005, 2015, we've put a lot of data in the cloud.
To only have 6 terabytes is good. A lot, but it's good.
Well, we're at 10.3. We're only allotted 6.
Any other questions from council or comments? Is there any questions or comments from the public?
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. I want to strongly voice my support for the approval of 6-1, not only to ensure that our officers are safe, they can do their job effectively, but also because body cameras are a crucial tool in not only evidence collection, but the protection of citizens' constitutional rights. And speaking as a private citizen, I hope that people reflect on this as an opportunity why we should vote yes on S to ensure that our law enforcement can continue to do their job effectively and safely. Again, want to voice my strong support in favor of 6-1. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Just one question. What is the methodology for eliminating camera data that is no longer needed? Thank you.
Yeah, good question, Mr. Reed. We're really proactive on eliminating any unnecessary video just for, to mitigate the overall cost. So on certain cases, most felonies, they're forever. We have to keep this. The misdemeanors will drop off after 2 years, depending on what type of misdemeanor it is. And then every time an officer essentially gets out of his car, her car, they're activating their camera. So we categorize it as just a call for service. Those call for service drop off after a year. So unless it's categorized as something that's going to ultimately end up in court or a complaint, something.
And they house the video.
Yeah, they house it. It's all on their server farms.
Okay. So
That's kind of the big, in talking with RIT and what it would cost to try to even fathom how to do it. It's not good.
I'm going to ask the question, are there any other vendors out there? Did we see if there was anything?
Yeah, so they're a sole source vendor. There's no other company that makes tasers. They actually used to be called Taser. And then when they started coming out with body cameras and interview room trackers, they created the Axon. There was a company that did try to create essentially a knockoff taser, and it was only around for a couple of years before it went under.
Then the contract is, I believe you said 42,000 for the first year, correct?
Yeah.
And then 119,000 per year for 4 years after that. Is there an extension to that contract, or do we have to sign a whole new contract with?
No, we would have to enter into a new contract. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve 6-1.
Second.
Who was the second? I'm sorry. You, Garza. Sorry. So I have a motion by Councilmember Orth, a second by Councilmember Garza. Councilmember Orth,
Yes.
Councilmember Garza,
Yes.
Councilmember Lyons,
Yes.
Councilmember Gornick,
yes.
and I vote yes as well. Passes 5-0. Moving on to city council reports and requests. Councilmember Garza.
All right, I get to go first. Like always.
I know.
I'd like to welcome our new city manager. Thank you for coming. Also, I just want to thank Frank, our chief, and Parks and Rec. I can't remember your name. I'm sorry. Right. I want to thank you guys all for your hard work and all your reports that you give us. We really do appreciate it. So thank you for all your hard work. And the kids are gonna love all that big baller stuff. So thank you. And that's it.
Okay, I'm assuming I'm next.
Yes, sir.
Good assumption.
So yes, Mrs. Trejo, thank you and Godspeed. And Mr. Northcraft, even though he's gone, I can't say enough about the guy. He was, I don't know, he kind of filled a badly needed hole. And he filled it well. He was very instrumental. And the city staff, thank you guys, all of you guys. I'd also like to touch again on the Commission on Aging. Their senior picnic is September 20th at Burrs Park from 9 a.m. to 1:30. I even think Frank said that he was going to be the Elvis performer this year. And there's a cakewalk, there's a crazy hat contest, games, food. So if anyone would like to see Frank,
This Frank here.
Which Frank was it? Maybe there's gonna be a twin Frank Elvis. I don't know. So. That's all I have. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, sir. Councilmember Worth.
Is it my turn? Okay.
Yes.
Well, I too want to welcome our new city manager. It's like Stuart said, it's a good thing. Breath of fresh air. Good to move our city forward. And I got the opportunity talked with Frank out at the park last week. It was very educational how you and your guys did. I really appreciate that. It's coming along really good and really fast, so it's good. All the everyone, I had a chance to talk to some of the trash collection refuge guys, and they're working hard to get our 3-can collection. So I want to shout out to them. They're really working hard. So I appreciate that. The rec's doing good. Ray, you're doing good, even though I can't see you, but you're doing good with the football and all that stuff. Good job. Whoever dealt with this home housing arena thing, arena,
Consultants.
that was probably the funnest time of your life, I think. So good job. And just, we all need to work forward, and today's a good day. Let's just continue moving forward from today. That's it.
Councilmember Van Horn. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Good job.
That was good.
The new city manager, I want to invite the citizens out to come meet her Thursday evening at 5 to 7 next door. We'll have a lot of fun and get a chance to meet everybody and talk about things that we're doing here in the city. So welcome, city manager. Let's see. I did enjoy the housing report. You know, what it says to me is that we're doing the right things, and we don't have to necessarily listen to the state. We can just do what we need to do to make sure we keep our city moving forward.
And you got them to admit it too.
That's right.
It's recorded.
It's recorded. Yeah, it's recorded. I was just tickled to hear about how many young people are, and that you got a waiting list for getting involved in those activities, and look forward to all the long range planning that we can do with our new city manager in terms of moving our city forward to make it a city on the hill, shining city on the hill. There you go. That's it.
Thank you, sir. I toured with KCAO. I toured some of their facilities in the Hanford area. We didn't quite get to the Lemoore area yet, but I have a lot of facilities, so I'll continue those tour dates, just getting acclimated to KCAO and all they do for our community. I also attended the Tachioka powwow. That was an amazing experience. If you have not experienced one of those, I highly suggest you go out and check it out. It's open to the public. It just kind of gives you an eye in their culture. So I recommend for anyone. Pictures don't do it justice. The costumes, everything is amazing. The sound, the drums, the music, everything. Kevin and I had the opportunity to meet with the fire department last week. So just answer some questions and just talk to the guys a little bit. I will say that they did offer me food, and it was the best steak sandwich I've ever had in my life. So made me want to sign up and be a volunteer firefighter, not gonna lie. Also attended Lemoore Rotary meeting last week with Captain O'Connor. It was a very good presentation that he gave to Rotary and the community members on the base and where they're moving forward. Also had the opportunity to attend the downtown business meeting last week. Downtown business members are getting together and brainstorming on different ideas of events and things that they can do for our community. So be looking forward to that. It looks like a lot of good things are going to come out of that. This morning, I had the pleasure of attending the San Joaquin Valley Air Pollution Control District Citizen Advisory Committee. Same old there. A lot of regulations coming down, a lot of rules, a lot of different things. But I did want to mention that the what is it, their calendar that they have every year. They're open now for submissions for K through 12th grade. So anybody can, any child can submit their artwork for their their annual calendar. And I believe it's open until September 27th, so you can go to their website. I'm gonna try to look up some of the information and share on the Lemoore Citizens page for anybody interested in doing that. If your artwork is used, I believe it's you get $100 prize, and I think there's a grand prize of $500 for maybe the cover. So I'll be sharing that as soon as I get that. If anybody in our area is interested in participating in that, that would be great. I get the calendar every year, so it'd be great to have some local art on it. Also, well, that one, Councilmember Gornick said. So with that, we'll go ahead and do closed session. We have item 1, Government Code Section 54957, Public Employee Performance Evaluation, City Manager. Item 2, Government Code Section 54956.9, Conference with Legal Counsel, Anticipated Litigation, Significant Exposure to Litigation pursuant to paragraph 2 or 3 of subdivision D of Section 54956.9, one case. Item 3, Government Code Section 54956.9, Conference with Legal Counsel, Anticipated Litigation, initiation of litigation pursuant to paragraph 4 of subdivision D of section 54956.9, one case. With that, we'll go ahead and adjourn into closed session.